Hello, this is CAD drawing for dummies. So the first thing you're going to want to do is go to Tinkercad and you'll have to log in, create a personal account. On Tinkercad you can do 3D designs, you can design circuits, and you can also do coding for Arduino. So I'm going to click on 3D design, and here's the basic work plane. Imagine it as a table in front of you, and we're going to make a project box. Quite simple. So you need to do is get used to the basic mouse control. So your left button, you can highlight things, and your right button will make it pan round. Now the scroll wheel, if you hold it in, will move the entire work plane, and if you operate the scroll wheel, you've got your zoom. So we're just going to grab, you've got your basic shapes over here. So I'm just going to grab a cube, and I like to put it on the intersection. That is now a solid cube. If you notice over here, you've got something that says radius. That'll give it rounded edges. We're not going to use that. So first of all, I want to adjust the dimensions. Now if I click in the corner, I can drag it, move it, or if I click on the small black squares, it'll give me one plane of movement. It'll also give you a box that you can type in. So I'm going to go 75 millimeters. Enter. I'm going to go 105 millimeters long, and I'm going to make it 45 millimeters high using this one here. Like that. That's our basic shape. Just going to zoom out a little bit. Now I don't want a solid piece of plastic, I want a project box, so we need to hollow the inside out, and the way we're going to do that is by making another shape similar to this one. Now we could either grab this shape and make it from that. Not going to do that. We're going to select this, go up here to duplicate, and we've duplicated it. Now we don't want the inside of the box the same size as the outside of the box. We need some kind of wall thickness, so I'm going to go for a 2mm wall. So we know it's 75mm wide, so if we knock 2mm off for one side and 2mm off for the other side, that would be 71. I'm going to do the same here. I'm going to knock 4mm off here. And then the height, we're actually going to make it bigger. And that's so we can select it, which you'll see in a second. So now we're going to go back over here where it says hole, and we're going to click hole. Now when we put that in there, that now hollows that out, but it also hollows the bottom. But we want the bottom of the project box to be 2mm thick, so we're going to lift it up 2mm. We're not going to use this because this will adjust the dimension. We're going to use this little arrow here. 1, 2. Now you'll notice that it's not in the right place. You could mess about and try and get it in the right place, but we're going to use this tool. So what we do is we highlight the parts that we want to align, and up here there's an align tool. So we click on that, these dots come up. Now if we click on this one, it will align it with this edge. Same with this side. We want it in the middle, so we click this dot, that puts it in the middle of that. Again, we want it in the middle, and there we have our basic box. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to export it and import it back in here, just so I can show you what that has actually created. So we'll highlight all the parts that we want to export, click export. It'll come up only the selected 2 shapes, and we're going to export it as an STL. Now it will come up with some crazy name for some reason on Tinkercad. So what you want to do is you want to click on this here, was this file. Let me just delete that. I'm going to click on it and rename it. Project box. Now I'm going to import it back in to. It's important you make sure you import it in the same, millimeters that you want it, that you exported it in, should I say. Import. Right. There we go. So now you can see it's become all one part. Yeah, the basic project box. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select it, and I'm just going to move out of the way a second. I'm going to make the lid. So what I'm going to do that is I'm going to select this first, and then using the height I'm going to go down to, say, 2mm, and then we're going to take this down, so that's also 2mm. I think I'll do that a bit bigger actually. This, yeah. Now, if we click solid, let's just change the colour. Make that into a solid part. Now the only thing is, the dimensions of that are the same as the inside dimensions of this, so it would be too tight. So what we want to do is click back on it, and we want to resize it. So I'm going to resize it. 0.5 mm would be enough, because I still want it a tight fit. So I'm going to change that to 70.5, and I'm going to change that to 100.5. Now they won't be aligned, so again, highlight the two, go to align, press the central dot on that center dot, and there we have it. So I want to select just the centerpiece. I'm going to go up here to where it says radius and steps. I'm going to turn the steps up to the maximum, and I'm going to give it ever so slight radius. I only want it slight. You see what that does? I want to just slightly take the corners off like that. Now, again, I wouldn't normally do this, but I'm going to export it and import it just for your benefit. I'm going to rename it. Project box lid. Import. There we go. Now I'm just going to select them and I'm just going to move them out of the way. Just going to flip this over. I'll align it with this. As you can see, that fits in there. You click back on here, make it into a hole. You can see it a bit better. And that'll just fit nicely, that. So, leave that out of the way a second. And I want to flip this over using this little doobly doofer. If you keep your cursor inside the circle, it'll snap to different angles like 90 degrees and 180 degrees. If you keep your cursor outside the circle, see that? And what I want is some holes on here. So I'll take a cylinder, make it taller than the object that I'm putting it on because I can still move it around then. And over here where it says sides, we're going to put that up to the maximum. So we don't want it like an octagon, I want a circle. And I'm going to resize the hole to 5, and I use tab to go from one to the other. Tab, 5, enter. Yeah, and I want 3 holes, so what I'm going to do is press duplicate and duplicate, and then I'm going to put roughly where I want them. And yeah, you guessed it, go to align. There you have it, they're all in the centre, but they're not exactly where I want them. Now if I press that, they will all go to the centre. I don't want that. Well, you can always go back on this program. What I want is this aligning with this. So that's in the centre. It's in the centre that way. and then I want this about 20mm from the edge of here, so my switch will fit. So what I do is I go up here, there's a little L-shaped ruler, put that right on the corner of there, it'll snap to it, then select your hole, and can you see here, it tells you the distance away from the edge. So I'm actually going to put 22mm because of the thickness of the box. Let's align into the sensor again. This one needs to be, where is it? I've got it wrote down. Doesn't really matter, that's just having an aerial in that, so that doesn't really matter. So now what I'm going to do is just delete that. I'm just going to select all the shapes that I want to export. Got to rename it again, unfortunately. It's okay. Like that. Same with this. I don't need to, but I will do just for the benefit. Yeah, go on then. Yeah. Well, I mean, you can, where it says open file, go straight to print, but obviously you don't need to do that. You can just go into your downloads, pick what you want, and then obviously send it straight to Cura for your printer, or I don't know, Photon if you're using a resin printer. So there's the lid, which I would print the other way, like that. And then, oh, I've done something wrong. Why me, is it? Try again. So there's our project box. Again, I will print it the other way. And there we have it. A basic guide to how to make a project box. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you try it.